I'm about to reveal the top high income skills that will skyrocket your success and your income as a high performer. Because at some point in your career, you will realize that hard work doesn't get you to the top. In fact, some of you may have experienced that the only reward for hard work is more work. In order to be promoted as a high performer, you need to do something extra. You need to learn high income skills that will make your boss pay anything to keep you in the company. This requires you to shift from being a high performer to a high potential, where you are the thinker, the change maker, and the problem solver that your team and company desperately need. That's the category I want you to be in, especially if you want to earn more money. And the first shift that you need to make is to move forward with ideas. Rather than be content with idea generation, high potentials and high income earners go one step further. They take the idea that's been generated and they move forward with implementation and execution. They develop a strategy to follow, they get buy-in and approval as needed, and they enlist others to help them do what needs to be done. Basically, they show leadership potential by stepping outside of their comfort zone, even if they're scared, even if they have never done it before. They don't let the fear of trying something new or learning a new skill stop them. They continually push themselves to go one step further. That is what gives high income earners the edge over 99% of high performers. This means that when you have an idea for a new product, announce your ideas to the team. Don't let someone else in that team announce that same idea and for them to get all of the credit instead of you. Devise a plan of action. Think about what needs to be done, when it needs to be done by, and by whom. Number 2, find and fill gaps. This second theme seems to be a common one amongst people who get promoted into leadership, and I think it's one of the most powerful things you can do to get noticed. Finding and filling gaps requires you to identify gaps in workflows and then put energy into filling or eliminating those gaps. It might not even be gaps, it might be blocks in workflows that are causing things to take longer than necessary and costing the company more money. For example, when creating a client presentation, you probably want great looking PowerPoint slides. You could design them yourself by using simple graphics or putting text on those slides. But because this isn't your area of expertise, this will take you a really long time and it would probably lead to a very boring presentation like previous company presentations. So here you've identified a gap, a skill that you and nobody else on your team has. So as a high potential, you go looking for solutions and you come across a website, let's call it XYZ Presentation Slides. They have thousands of easy-to-use presentation templates, slides, and pitch decks. You can customize them with stock images and icons, and through this process, you really improve the quality of your presentation, allowing you to increase client buy-in and to impress your boss. So you convince your boss to find some money in the budget for this software, allowing you and others in your team to create the most amazing presentation slides. And more importantly, you eliminate this gap that has been identified, which was the inability to create great looking PowerPoint or presentation slides. And bonus, you are identified as the one who identified and filled this gap. And all of a sudden, everyone sees you as the problem solver and the one who would be perfect for an upcoming leadership position. So for you as a high performer who wants to be promoted, try to identify gaps in your or your team's current workflow. Once you've identified them, then think about how you could fill in or eliminate those gaps. And then once you've thought about that, try to find solutions that you could suggest to your boss. This can easily be done during a team meeting or a one-on-one meeting with your boss. And more importantly, by taking this initiative, you are proving to your boss that you are way more than just a hard worker. You are demonstrating your future potential to have a big impact on the organization. Next, we have finding order in chaos, and this is really about being the one who doesn't get flustered, distracted, or confused when things get a little bit chaotic. Instead, you are cool, calm, and collected with your actions, with your emotions, and with your communication too, because you know that this is the only way you are going to be able to understand what is happening and find the clear path forward. Let's say your client presentation goes amazingly well. They loved your slides and they loved what you had to say as well. They hire your financial services company to not only do their bookkeeping and tax, but also to devise a 10-year growth strategy so they can expand their operations. This requires an immense amount of work, much more than your colleagues had expected, and people start to get a little bit panicky. They start to wonder, how on earth are they going to complete all of the tasks that need to be done and by the deadline that the client wants? But you, as the high potential who can find order in chaos, you first calm everyone down. Then you remind them that last year you all confronted a similar issue with client X and you succeeded. This helps to build your team's confidence and for them to realize that they can actually do this job. Then you break down all of the client requests and you list them on a big whiteboard in the room, one request per column. Then underneath the heading of each column, you write down all of the tasks that need to be performed for that request. With all of this visually planned out on the board, people start to calm down. They start to see this project as something that is possible, not impossible. And you, as the high potential, you stand out as the one who can find order in chaos. The next high income skill that every high performer needs to master now is to manage up and manage out. Manage up has a vertical focus and is really about you building relationships with people who are more senior than you. For example, your boss or your boss's boss. You confronted a similar issue when you had to convince your boss in the previous example that I talked about, where you had to convince your boss to sign up and buy in to the new presentation software. Manage out has a horizontal or a lateral focus, and it's about you building relationships with peers in your team or with people in other departments in the company. The ability to manage up and to manage out is incredibly important for ambitious high potentials because it expands your network and it strengthens your reputation, allowing you to have more influence at work and control over your future career. You see, you don't work in a silo, you don't work on your own. In order to get things done, you need to collaborate with other people, either above you or at your level. If you don't have relationships with these people, it makes it much harder to get things done. People won't be inclined to do you a favor if they don't know you, and because you don't have any authority over them, they will be unlikely to assist you. And this will have a negative impact on your performance at work and the results that you can produce. So start to build relationships with your colleagues and with people outside of your team. Who could you need help or assistance from in the future? Build relationships with them. Who has the ability to stop or to delay your work? Build relationships with them. And what other departments or jobs within the company do you need to be familiar with in order for you to get your job done? Build relationships with those people. So identify this circle of professionals around you. Start to get to know them. Start to build relationships with them. And this will help you to manage up and to manage out. The next high income skill that every high performer needs to master now is to lean into your personal brand. This is where you take control of how you want other people to perceive you in the office rather than letting them decide for themselves. The image, the perception, or the reputation that you currently have in the office could be absolutely on point and exactly how you want others to perceive you. But for some of you, it may not. And in that case, you will have to redefine or reinvent your personal brand. For many of you watching, you may not know how other people perceive you in the office. Perhaps it's something that you've never even thought about, or you've never asked yourself, how do other people at work perceive me? So if that is you, then I recommend you do this simple activity. Choose 1 to 3 co-workers that you trust. Prepare a piece of paper with these 3 questions written on it. How would you describe me? What do I contribute to the team? What is my best asset? Let them know that you are working on your personal brand and you'd really appreciate their help. Tell them that you want their honest answers and you're really interested in hearing what they think. Once you have their answers, put your ego aside and read their answers with an open mind and no judgment. This activity will give you an incredible insight into how others perceive you, the public perception people have of you, essentially your current personal brand. And if it's not the personal brand that you want for the higher income opportunities that you desire, then you might need to rebrand your personal brand. And for that, I recommend that you watch this video up here where I take you through how to define and how to build your leadership brand for 2024. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you got a lot of valuable insights from it. If you did like it, please hit the like button below. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell too to make sure that you get notified every time I release a new video. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in next week's video.